will be having a conversation with Priyanka Shah, who is the co founder of StreeStyle, a social enterprise run by empowered women who produce and sell eco friendly, sustainable fashion products. So, Priyanka, would you like to share what your journey's been like with sustainability and fashion?
Yes, I think we've had a pretty interesting journey. So it's the four of us who've started this, me along with my, school friends. And yeah, it's been more than 1.5 years that we've been on this journey with all its ups and downs. And we're really glad that we took this decision. So it basically started back in, November or December of 2019. Actually 2018 is when we started discussing stuff where I was working at the chief minister's office, and I saw that there was a big gap in terms of the market access that underprivileged women have, because I saw that they have a lot of skills as well as a lot of motivation, but they do not have the right market access, and because of which they do not have independence, both economically and even socially in a lot of aspects. So I decided, to discuss this with my friends who are all very eager to, do something in order to kind of help, these women. And then we started this with, try to create a model where we wanted to also tackle the issue of fashion waste. Because one of my other co-founders is a fashion designer, Ayushi, and she'd actually, discussed with us that how fashion waste is actually the second largest pollutant in the world. So we were also not really aware, and maybe very few people know this also. But yeah, it does contribute a lot to the, it does harm the environment a lot. So we thought that, why not combine that along with the skill set of the ladies, and come up with a unique business model. So yeah, so our model rests on two things, the core of which is to provide employment opportunities to underprivileged women. And we do this by making products out of upcycled waste. We have now also started using sustainable fabrics, because getting consistency with only, upcycled material is a little difficult. So we have started using a lot of sustainable fabrics like bamboo, hemp, cotton, etc. We are experimenting with these few. But I think, yeah, it's a pretty difficult road that we've chosen, right? Because to work with these women and to train them, they do have a lot of restrictions at home sometimes. They sometimes do not have that professionalism since they've never kind of worked. A lot of these have never worked before, right? So um, on that front it's challenging, and then having this entire sustainable element across our supply chain process. What we are currently trying to do is maybe bring about that behavioral change in people, made them more informed that that by buying that what they're buying, they're not only helping the environment, but they're obviously helping sustain lives of underprivileged women. So I think, yeah, it's been pretty exciting. So we're looking forward to continue it.
Yeah, that's great. So, I just wanted to sort of start with. So you've talked about sustainability being like a theme of Sea Style.
Right.
What does sustainability mean to you?
So for us, sustainability, so yeah, I mean, it's a very, very broad term, right? Because people kind of keep on using it for everything. But for us, what we believe is that anything which is helping sustain our planet and the people is what we consider to be sustainable. So any activity which has a positive, impact on people and planet is what we consider sustainable.
Okay. And so you're empowering women and helping them use their skills like you mentioned. So
Right.
how is this, what connection does this have with sustainability?
Yeah, so there, what we actually mean by sustainability is sustaining their livelihoods. That's how we connect this. Because obviously, after working with us, there were people who never earned before, so they've started earning. We have stories of women who are so proud now that their children are actually celebrating. The fact that their mothers are finally working, right? So and then they're able to buy something from what their mothers have earned. It's just like a very different feeling, right? And just the people have started looking at them with so much of respect. And I think it has a lot of indirect effects which have a lot more value. So yeah, economically obviously they are getting money, but then I think, yeah, it has a lot of ripple effects where just the way people start looking at them, just the way their family starts respecting them, their own self confidence, etc. I think there's a lot of change which kind of starts coming in when you actually become independent. So I think, yes, from the women angle, it is for sustaining livelihoods, and from the environment angle, it is, having a more sustainable, planet, basically, right? Which is allowing, so, where you are trying to use practices which is not just um, you know letting us do what we want to do, but also ensuring that our future generations have a, like a decent environment to live in. So kind of having a sustainable environment for them. So that's how both of these, the people and the planet aspects are being taken care of.
Okay. So if we like dive a little bit deeper into the environmental aspect of it, what's like the
Right.
difference between a normal production process, like maybe when like they're producing fast fashion versus what street style does or to produce sustainable fashion?
Yeah, so I think for us, I mean, the proposition is pretty clear because at least in the last like 18 months or so, what we were doing was, just using any form of textile waste. So we automatically were ensuring that no new material is being bought, right? So we're trying to ensure that the life cycle of that particular material is obviously lengthened since we use that. And I think that, so in terms of numbers, I think there are a lot of different facts which I don't want to kind of just put across right now, but there's a lot of data available on how one like a meter of fabric, like how much water does it take, and then when it is thrown in the landfill, how it affects, etc. So I think it's pretty clear that for a normal production process, you will buy new fabric and then make things, but for us it was very clear that we will basically, like, a waste for somebody is like an input for us, right? So, and I think we found like a lot of great variety of material from fashion designers, from factories, like a lot of different places, right? So I think, yeah, we've in that front, I think we are pretty different because there are very very few people who are currently working with upcycle waste. So automatically the this reuse recycle thing that we all talk about, we are actually putting that in practice. And we also want, actually, in the future, want to come up with a process where we could buy back on our own products, so that the customers get a discount on the new products that they buy, so that we are still ensuring that the cycle kind of keeps on continuing. And what we also do is sometimes that if we are making like a larger piece of product, and if there's a waste which comes out while cutting that, we might as well would make like a smaller accessory from it. So there's a concept called a zero waste brand. So that's what we intend to become. So we have currently started with accessories, but we are planning to get into clothing as well. So that time also we're very clear that ours will be a zero waste model. So when we are making designs for our clothes, etc., whatever that is a leftover after making those designs would be used to make accessories from the same. So we'll ensure that there will be no waste as a brand that we will produce. And maybe as a process that we will have the customers give that the give back the products to us, because we have different factories which can convert the cloth into paper, etc., and then you can again use the same paper for packaging of your products. So we're trying to see that as much as we can reuse and recycle, we'll try to kind of get that in our process. So yeah, we're going step by step, but I think we're on the right track.
Okay. So then looking at the like consumer point of view, so that means even they can contribute to this process by like donating their clothes.
Absolutely.
Okay. And
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, we've just recently, as I told you, like, even started looking at sustainable fabrics. But even there's a clear difference because, like, for example, the water consumption that would be required for a normal, say, cotton versus, say, like a different kind of other fabrics which are in the sustainable range. I think there's a lot of benefits and pluses to it. For example, even in dyeing, right? When you dye like a fabric, there are a lot of chemicals used in the process. They get washed off, they enter the the rivers and lakes in this entire cycle, which causes a lot of harm. But we will ensure that our dyeing is 100% natural, so that there is kind of as minimal of harm caused to the environment as possible. So I think, yeah, in all different aspects, whether the material itself, whether the dyeing, whether the packaging, we will try to ensure that we do minimal kind of damage. And we would want to include the consumers as a part of the journey, so that they become more aware, they also become conscious buyers. And so that they know that what they buy, right, has an impact on the people and the planet, basically.
okay. And like, what advice would you give to people who want to become, like, who want to make environmentally conscious fashion choices? How would they go about finding different products to buy, accessories to buy?
I think what I would want to tell people is that I think there are people like us, and I mean, a lot of people like us who are trying to do their bit to, create more awareness. But I think I would also request people, to take a little bit of more effort, in understanding that, who's making their products and what is going, behind the scenes. Because I think it's only when the consumers, start reacting and asking for, so yeah, like Fashion Evolution has this hashtag, right? Who made your clothes? So they started a campaign, where they started asking people to tag their brands, asking the brands to disclose that, okay, who is behind making those clothes. So it automatically, starts this chain reaction, which I think is good for all of us. So I think if people just start taking a little bit of more effort, I think we can do like a lot of things together.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, awareness is like one way that demand for sustainable fashion can increase. Are there any other ways?
There is a gap in terms of the offerings that sustainable brands have, because a lot of times it's limited to either Indian wear or ethnic wear, or like a very boutique style clothing which you can wear only very occasionally. But if today you want to just buy jeans or like tops, right, which are sustainable, right, made from sustainable fabrics, it's like a more transparent brand, I think you will hardly come up with names, right? So I think there is a gap on both sides in a way, both in terms of supply and in terms of demand. But I think if both of these people, right, like if more and more brands like us, start taking this initiative, and if people become more accepting, and start taking a little bit of more effort, I think we can definitely, I mean, maybe where the West has gotten today, we can also, I think, maybe get there in the next 3 to 5 years, is what I feel.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, you said that, like, there's a gap on both supply and demand. So, on the supply side, is it possible that there's a gap because it's not economically feasible on a large scale, or is there some other drawback?
Yeah, so I think in India, actually, in a way, there is a problem because, the market here is very price sensitive, right? If you go to see, like most of the people here are very, very price sensitive. It is a phenomenon seen across the world, but in India, I mean, it's largely very, very popular. So what happens is that when you want to, like it's pretty simple, right? In terms of maths, that when I have to pay my ladies fairly, when I want to, take fabrics which are long lasting, which are good for the planet, it is going to come at a price. So whatever I do, I cannot really undercut the prices of people who are trying to just sell fast. So I will have to sell it at a price where I'm obviously able to recover my cost with a at least a decent margin, even if not a high margin. And that's where the problem arises, because we are still unsure about how many people are ready to pay that premium. Because, like a simple example, if I'm able to save, buy a like a shirt for 2,000 rupees from Zara, will I pay like 3.5 4,000 if I have to buy the similar looking shirt, but which is just sustainable, which is helping women because it's made by women, which has more sustainable fabrics. Because here this price sensitivity, I think, is creating a lot of issue and concern. So which is why I think there are very few entrants, because India has still not matured maybe enough to afford that price range, in a way. So I think, but at the same time, I believe that there is a lot of rising middle class, right? Which, if they are, informed well, and if they understand the reason of what they're doing, they might be able to afford these things also. So I just think, yeah, it's just a matter of maybe like a couple of years. It will take time, because it's literally kind of a revolution that's happening in the fashion space also. So I just think it does take time, but I think, yeah, if we all try to do our bit, I think we should be there in the next like 3 to 5 years, I guess.
Okay. And lastly, do you have any advice for today's youth on how to contribute to this sustainability like revolution?
So I think, yeah, my advice is that whatever that you try to do, please try to see that it is having a positive impact on people and the planet. I think if we just have this one philosophy in mind, right, that any action or any activity that we are doing is having some positive effect or contribution, on the people living around you, and contributing positively to our planet, I think that's good enough. So whether then it means, working or interning with somebody like us, or going and say doing like a beach cleanup, or doing some, because I just feel that the one thing just I want to clarify is that it does not matter which field you belong to. So you could be a designer, you could be an architect, you could be a lawyer, you could be anybody, and still do things which are good for the people and the planet. So it just because everybody, so like even a company like ours, we need people across sectors to help us grow and sustain. So so I just feel that people shouldn't restrict exploring options in order to help the society by thinking that, oh, how can I help? Because I think if you just reach out, right, to people, there are more than enough brand like ours who would love to have people like y'all on board, because it's like a win-win for both, because you guys get to learn, right, and we get a lot of fresh minds working with us and like helping us. So I just feel like reach out to people, use your times wisely, and I think we'll all have like a great future ahead if we do it together. So yeah, I think together we can. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. This is really insightful.
thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks so much.